From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and Million Dollar Listing, this is World of Wonder's Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this almost Christmas week edition of the Wow Report.
Ho, ho, ho.
We're counting down the top 10 things this week that made us go, ho.
Wow.
I'm Fenton Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder, joined by our Chief Creative Officer, Tom Campbell.
Hello, hello, hello.
And number one ho, James St. James, also editor of the Wow Report. All right.
It never gets old.
It doesn't, exactly. Let's get into the countdown at number 10.
Number 10.
Christmas came early this week at World of Wonder because there were some incredible announcements made all week long. A little show we produced called RuPaul's Drag Race, the United States version, the original, the original recipe was announced this week. Season 15 was announced this week. Season 15. We've been doing this for 15 years. Big headline news. It's going to air for the very first time on MTV. For many, many years, we were on VH1. Before that, we're on Logo. They're all part of the now Paramount family. So we're still with the same wonderful group of people. But we're on MTV, which I think is exciting. So 15 years, RuPaul's Drag Race. Guess what happened? Fenton knows. Guess what happened 30 years ago? James? On MTV.
RuPaul was born.
Basically, supermodel of the world, You Better Work, made its debut. It was in heavy rotation and changed the world. First drag queen in heavy rotation MTV 30 years ago on MTV. So 15 years, 30 years later, full circle, RuPaul ageless, right? He looks younger than he's ever looked. We have 16 queens. You can go online to the Wow Report to get sort of the introduction to 16 queens. It's the most queens we've ever had before. I've read in the comments that people are worried that we're going to do a lot of saving and the season will go on for 100 episodes.
It's going to end up being 42 episodes for the season, something like that. If you do your double savings and no savings, and
I don't want to give away too much stuff because I'll get fired. But I just want to say, if people want eliminations, they're going to get eliminations. That's all I'm going to say. They're going to get eliminations. And the kind of the brightest news of all, and one of the most exciting things that happened this season, and many exciting things, exciting people, Ariana Grande is our extra special premiere guest. We're doing starting on a Friday, January 6th, so we can rebrand January 6th as something good and not something bad 2 years later. It's a 2-part premiere. Both parts Ariana is in. You meet all 16 queens. It's a must-see night of television. And the little behind the scenes I can tell is Ariana, who'd been on the show before when she just released Break Free. She had just finished the day she came to see us. She came around noon, and at 6 a.m. she had just wrapped the Bang Bang video shoot with Nicki Minaj and Jessie J. And when we told her that, she's like, oh my God. She goes, I don't remember anything from that time. She was just so busy. She was, doing one thing after another. So she came, she participated. She had so much fun. She's a huge fan of RuPaul's Drag Race and loves the queens and knows the details of the show. And it's just, you guys would love her. I got a chance to spend a little time with her. She still travels with her mom. It's so sweet. And she's also stunningly beautiful in real life. Like skin, hair, everything.
She's got skin and hair. She's stunning.
No, but it's beautiful. It's like you covet it. It's godlike.
Yeah.
When was she on the show the first time, Tom?
I can't remember the season, but she had just she was an extra special guest judge. She wasn't our original judge, but she brought us a song called Break Free. This is the part where I say I don't want to.
Because I remember Nolan went to that taping and met her and got a bunch of photos with her that are so sweet. And it's shocking to think little Nolan turned 16 this week. So it's like just time flies. It must have been a good few years ago.
I feel like it was season 7, but I might be wrong. I've lost track myself, but I'm so happy and so grateful, as I always say, that Drag Race continues. And I really think it's a good season. I feel like, the queens bring it to you every season, as does Rue and Michelle and Carson and Ross are back. And T.S. Madison is on more than ever. And there's a bunch of other celebrity guest judges who I'll tell you later because it hasn't been released yet, but it's star-studded, and it's everyone who comes has a great time. And I hope people really enjoy MTV RuPaul's Drag Race starting January 6th.
No, but I also saw on Twitter, I saw that season 16 has been renewed. It's been renewed for season 16, and they just made a list of all the different ones around the world, and it's up to like 17 or 18 of them now.
It's in 17 countries.
17 crazy.
24 productions, because some countries are doing more than one. Some countries are
all
doing
stars and things like that.
Yes, and versus the world. And
but people say there's too much Drag Race. Focus on the US version just for today. January 6th. It's the original recipe. You can't get enough of it.
Oh, and I can't say that the new versions of Brazil and Mexico and Germany are all coming. So, but
all the future, but very exciting news around the world.
Exactly. January 6th. Thank you. All right, let's move on to number 9.
Number 9.
Well, I watched The Banshees of Inisherin on HBO Max. It debuted this week. It's out of the theaters and on HBO. And it is absolutely spectacular.
What is it?
What?
What is
it?
It's
a movie.
The Banshees of Inisherin. You haven't heard about this? With Colin Farrell?
I've heard the title, and I thought the title was like, do not watch this movie.
No!
Why would you watch a film called Banshees of Inisherin?
No, I won't hear it. I won't hear any of this. I want to tell you that it is Oscars all around. It is Colin Farrell. Unbelievable role. I can't believe you haven't seen the commercials for this, because it's these two men. They're on a small island called Inisherin off the coast of Ireland. And the one who is played by Brendan Gleeson says to, just in the very beginning, he says, I don't want to be your friend no more. I think you're dull. I don't want anything to do with you. They've been friends their whole lives. And one day he just says, I don't want to be friends with you no more. And Colin Farrell's character says, but that's not very nice. And it starts off as this sort of like black, dark comedy about the ending of a friendship of these two men, who the one man will have nothing to do with him anymore. And it keeps getting darker and darker and bleaker and bleaker and blacker and more violent. It goes in this crazy direction that you don't suspect is coming. But like I said, Oscars all around for Colin Farrell and for Brendan Gleeson, who plays the older man who doesn't want anything to do with him. But there is this young kid, a standout. His name is Barry Keoghan, I think is his name. Barry Keoghan he plays this sort of sweetly troubled young youth on the island. And he has this one scene. And if you know the movie, you know what I'm talking about. He's standing by the lake and he has a scene, and he is astonishing. It is heartbreaking. It is one of the best acted scenes I have. They will be studying this scene for decades to come. When I say, if you can get an Oscar for one line, he has this one line that literally I had to pause and cry for about 15 minutes. The line reading he gives, this one line, is the best acting I have ever seen on film ever. He is this young kid. He's been in a bunch of movies. He was just in the Batman. He's in a bunch of up and coming things. He's a young Irish actor. And when I tell you that it is the most heartbreaking thing that you will ever see, he just has 5 words that will leave you breathless. It is weird too, because Colin Farrell, it's interesting to watch his career, because the farther he gets, the older he gets and the less pretty he becomes, the better actor he is. And, he's far away from the young pretty boy roles of the early 2000s. And when he started doing like, those Yorgos Lanthimos movies, The Lobster, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, you started to see his acting chops. When he did In Bruges, you started to see it. And this is probably the best thing he's ever done, and it's just absolutely fascinating to watch this movie. It's very dark.
Spoiling the plot, I'm going to put you on the spot. What's the moral of the movie? Can you sum up the moral of the movie?
Well, it's about the ending of friendships. It's about male friendships and how they sometimes end, and how you can hurt somebody. It's about hurt. It's about anger. It's about retribution. It's about the ending of a friendship. And it's these poor people there's about 40 people living on this island off the coast of Ireland in the 1920s, and they're all poor, and they're all dysfunctional in some way, and they all just sort of come together as like an island of misfit toys. It's just beautiful.
So if you did a radio show every week with people that you pretended were your friends on the air, but underneath it there was a lot of hurt and wound, that's kind of would I be able to relate to it if I was that kind of person?
It's very sort of like Beckett or Pinter, or it's very existential. It's very much like a play, but it's just absolutely stunning.
I had to look up Banshee because I wasn't quite sure. I just didn't think it was terribly a good thing. And it's a female spirit in Gaelic folklore whose appearance, wailing, warns that one of them will die soon. Is that a spoiler
and there's an
alert?
old crone on the island. There's an old crone who is like 106 years old. She's played by this fabulous actress, and she is probably the Banshee of Inisherin. And she comes on and she says, by the end of the day, 2 people will be dead on this island, and that's there'll be 2 deaths, is what she says.
Sounds like the movie version of White Lotus.
Well, we're going to be talking about that in a little bit too. But this is a masterclass of acting on everyone's part.
All right. Banshees of Inisherin on HBO Max. All right, number 8.
Number 8.
It had to come to this. Harry and Meghan.
Please go on.
Please respect my privacy during this segment. Go ahead.
Well, I will give you the headline. I don't know what to think. Is like, I started to watch it, and I immediately felt I was like throwing up. I immediately was sort of somewhat repulsed by what I felt was just the framing of the thing. Felt so self-pitying and victim-y, and then thinking, you know, Harry's in the airport lounge, except he's not in the airport lounge. It's called the Windsor Suite. And I'm like, what is the Windsor Suite at Heathrow Airport?
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait, this is jealousy because you thought you had.
I don't have to worry. It's a lounge I will never go in, nor will you, James.
You thought you were such a VIP, and now come to find out you are not.
No, it's just paradox. My point is, it's a bit of a paradox to be complaining about how awful your life is, sitting in a VIP suite, so VIP, no one except the royal family go in it. But then, well, okay. So one reviewer wrote, quote, I love this quote. I wish I knew who had written it, but a viewer really has to be on board the royal soap opera bus, not to be bored out of one's mind by Harry and Meghan. Not that anyone on it rides a bus. So, you know, that was a cute line.
And here's the thing. You're absolutely right about this, because you think that this is this royal soap opera that's like all these headlines for years and years and years, and there's drama and and it is the most deadly dull piece of reality television that I've ever watched. And it is 8 episodes, something like that. It could have been done in a 20-minute live with Kelly, and you know, it literally could have been taken care of on The View in one segment.
Well, I do think there is a lack of reality, in the sense that actually it's a lot of them talking about themselves and how they feel, and not a lot of doing stuff. I mean, there was one interesting sequence where they drive from a garage to another garage, and they're worried about the paparazzi following them, and you felt something in that. I did feel for them.
But then there was the other scene where she's making fun of how she has to curtsy for the queen, and you just think, these people are disgusting. These people have no sense of self. Like they're
it's all about them. I would quote my favorite radio personality, James St. James, when I would say, read the fucking room. Except now I know he's in an ultra exclusive royal only room. So they don't think
read the palace. Read the palace. Don't read the room. We made a series, Finding Sarah, about the Duchess of York, Prince Andrew's wife or ex-wife. And on the one hand, it was shocking how much sort of just pre-packaged, ready to go hatred she was on the end of, you know? And so I do see that it is difficult to play this role, this royal role. And I think it's, James, a difficult role to play because it's not a role you can ever kind of take off or step away from. It's not like, say, if you're in drag, you can be a queen and then you can just, it's slightly inescapable. And
but it's also it's so hard to, like you said, to feel sorry for these people, which is what they want you to do. The whole thing is about, oh, woe is me, we have this we're trapped in this gilded cage. But it's like, who wouldn't kill to be trapped in a Santa Barbara mansion like that?
And it wasn't an arranged marriage. You know, what did Harry tell her about what she was getting into? Like,
they have a wonderful life. They have wonderful kids. They've got they don't have to work. They can just raise their kids and have a lovely time. I don't know where all the self-pity comes from.
You know, someone said, actually, it's Andrew Scott on Facebook said, it's a weird narrative when people complain on camera about being on camera.
Yeah.
And I get that paradox. I don't know. I'm gonna make myself watch the whole thing because I'm a completionist, maybe, but also I feel there's something.
I couldn't do it, and I'm a completionist too, but I had to give up after 3 episodes. The second episodes I gave up.
I'm a royal interruptus person, so I'm not gonna watch the whole thing.
All right. Well, and then surely hiding in plain sight, you know, while it's all about telling the truth and revealing who they are, I don't believe Prince Harry is Charles's son.
No, television show. That is the Maury. That's the Maury. Who's your daddy?
You know that it's Captain James Hewlett or whatever.
So the whole thing is about being blood related to royalty, and if he's not a real royal, then what are we talking about?
But nobody will ever do a DNA test on them.
I know, but it's just so paradoxical that here we are in a documentary series that's revealing the truth about them, and the one thing that is staring you right in the face is not revealed.
We need DNA. James, go to his barber, get a clipping of the hair. Let's go.
And I do think in this sort of media saturated world that we live in, actually, I think you can complain on camera about being on camera. I don't think it's so because everything we're doing is on one sort of screen or another, right? I don't know that it's
unless you choose not to. Unless you choose not to. Unless you choose not to.
Good point, Tom. All right, let's move on. RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15 premieres exclusively Wow Presents Plus, MTV as well here in the USA, of course. First episode, January the 6th. It's very exciting. All right, let's take a break. Blake, have you got a question for us?
I do. It's about Season 15. Ariana Grande is going to be the special guest on MTV January 6th on our premiere for Season 15. As we mentioned before, Ariana was previously on the show, and it was in Season 7. Who was the other guest judge that night?
And that's crazy. We used to do 2 guest judges. Why did we work so hard? Okay.
You're listening to the Wow Report on Radio Andy. We'll be right back after the break.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
And welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Tom and James and Blake. We're counting down the top 10 things this week that made us go ho, 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 because it's our special Christmas edition. Ooh. Blake, you had a question?
Yes. Ariana Grande is going to be the super special guest judge on the premiere of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15 on MTV January 6th. She was previously on the show in Season 7. Who was the other guest judge?
I'm going to say it was either Vincent Price or Agnes Moorehead.
Lillian Gish, dear.
Lillian Gish and Barbara Stanwyck.
I have no idea. I want to say Leslie Jordan, but I know he wasn't on that episode.
Maybe Alicia Keys.
It was the return of Merle Ginsburg.
Oh,
I love Merle.
Yeah,
whatever happened to Merle Ginsburg episode?
That was the main challenge. It was the name of the episode is Rue Hollywood Stories.
Yes.
All right, let's carry on with the countdown. Number 7, Tom.
Number 7.
I need your guys' help. I saw this is less about the review of the performance, which was amazing, and more about me being so late to the party. But are you guys familiar with Kiki and Herb?
Of course.
I've heard their names. I used to get them confused with Marty and Elaine, who used to, or like a Steve and Edie.
I think that was the point. I think they were doing a riff on Marty and Elaine.
But Kiki and Herb were San Francisco and then like Greenwich Village queer performance artists in the 90s. And it's Kiki is Justin Vivian Bond, and Herb, her company, this is Kenny Melman. And so they started in 92. They moved to New York. By 2007, they've been off and on. They do other things. By 2007, they were nominated for a Tony off on Broadway. So they've had quite a thing. They performed at the Orpheum Theater downtown in Los Angeles this past weekend. My friend Greg brought me. And I'd never seen them before. I had really no reference. And can I tell you the adulation of the audience? It was, you feel a little pushed aside by it because clearly their message, and it was a Christmas special, and she's like a lounge singer. Do you hear what we hear? But it is so smart. She deteriorates into alcoholism, a total drunk throughout the thing, so convincingly, so beautifully.
They're both supposed to be in their 80s is what the joke is. They're these 80s has-been lounge singers and she's a raging alcoholic, and she gets progressively drunker throughout each show.
And their backstory is so intricate and complex that I can't even begin to explain to you because I've been reading up about it. But they can go back to any period, and they're like, my good friend, Betty Davis, it's like, they have all these things. It's incredible. The audience lapped it up. They do. It's very 90s because they will do like a lounge versions of like Nirvana songs, or they do like famously they do Running Up That Hill but it is, and it's the best kind of performance art from the 90s, the kind I remember, because it's as camp and as rebellious and political and queer positive and queer around the questioning Christianity, all that kind of stuff. It's touching. It is so like it's real performance, and it really, it's that thing I say, and you laugh at me, but like, what is camp? I have no idea what's camp because I just know if something's good. Hi, how are you? Elliot's making a little appearance on the Wow Report. Hi, Elliot. Go. That's how much we impressed Elliot. Hang out.
Oh, okay.
All right, but and they are very much of the like John Cameron Mitchell, Fisher Spooner. I'm trying to think. There's a bunch like Rufus Wainwright is a good friend. They're part of that whole group of just smart, great performers, and they have this cult following. I remember they started at Cowgirl Hall of Fame in New York, and it was a very small room, and it just kept building and building and building until their farewell concert was at Carnegie Hall when they were quitting the first time. And then from there they went to Broadway or the Tonys, and they're just fantastic, just incredible. So I was just privileged to see them. I can't even begin to sum up how special they are and how special the night was. But and the tour is over for now, but I have a feeling, I think they went out last Christmas and they went out this Christmas too. My favorite, they have I don't know how this is going to translate, but they have a stuffed animal on the piano, and eventually they refer to it, and it's the baby cow that is over 2,000 years old. It's the cow that was in the manger, and it ate Jesus's afterbirth. And you eat Jesus, you live forever. And so they have this cow, but they make it into this really moving thing about he didn't want to be in the manger. He wants to be with us. Like they freed him, and it's trippy and crazy, and I can't begin to sum it up for you. But I am so happy that I now have seen Kiki and Herb live in person. If you ever get a chance, I think you should too. And Justin Vivian Bond often plays at Joe's Pubs in New York, and is a someone who you can always see in various incarnations. Right, you don't have to wait. You just go Google it, and there's tickets. Yep.
All right. Number 6, James.
Number 6.
We've talked about White Lotus ad nauseum ad infinitum on this show. We've gone on and on and on about it. And last week was the finale, and it's been dissected to death on social media. But there are 2 scenes that I need to talk about here because they blew me away. The first was Meghan Fahy as Daphne. When
A Star is Born. Remember that name.
Is give her all the Tony Award. I mean, all the
everything.
Emmys
Give her
right
every
now.
award.
Well,
Can I just ask before you tell the story, if I hear the story, will it ruin it for me? Because I have not seen the end yet.
Oh.
Should I just
you
stop my
haven't
ears?
watched
I can
it?
just stop my ears.
Stuff yours.
Yeah, stop
Yeah,
your
tell
ears.
the story and I'll just block my ears.
Okay. Well, it's the scene when when Ethan confronts Daphne and says that he thinks that Cam and Harper cheated on them. And in that moment, she has 39 seconds of silence. And in those 39 seconds, it's a masterclass of acting where you watch her process that information and her emotions. And you see her go from questioning it to accepting it to thinking, what am I going to do about it? To, I know what I'm going to do about
There's
it.
also fire and fury underneath it. Come on, it's all.
Yes.
So a friend of mine said, quoting from Funny Girl, she got 6 expressions. She's got 6 expressions more than all the Barrymores pulled together. Like she deleted every emotion.
But it's interesting because you realize too when you're watching it that she's not upset about Cam. She's not upset about her husband cheating on her. That it's Harper. That she thought she had a female friend at last, and Harper's betrayal is what hurts her more than anything. And you see in that moment where she decides, I know what I'm going to do, and she's going to fuck Ethan. And she takes Ethan out onto the island, and you know they fuck. And that's why when he comes back, he can sleep with his wife again for the first time.
But that scene, I have to say, where she's leading him to the island and he's sort of trailing behind, and
she looks behind and smiles.
And there's one last shot of him stopped, and he could turn away, and instead he follows. Oh my God! So much is said in silence. Anyway, what's the other moment?
Now, the other scene, very quickly, is Cam in the bathroom brushing his teeth and flossing his teeth, and Daphne is on the phone with the kids. She's FaceTiming the kids, and the little blonde boy says, I want to talk to Daddy. I want to talk. She's like, Cam, come say hello. Come say hello. And he ignores her. And you see him seething because he hates that kid. He knows that kid isn't his, and he wants nothing to do with him. And he ignores her. And finally he goes out and he's like, hey, buddy, good to see you, buddy. And you know that he does that every single time he sees that kid.
How it's sort of, and the whole moral, it's how performative we all are to some extent, right?
Yes.
Or we have to be to survive. We have to sort of like patch the feelings with performative.
But you see what an asshole Cam is and how much he just loathes that situation. But there's nothing he can do about it. There's not.
But we're all have a little bit of asshole in us. That's what I think is fascinating about White Lotus. It's a bit of a mirror. It's like a gross mirror. I am going to miss that show so much. Just that the community of people that watched it, the fact that we could talk about it, the fact that I was waiting until 6 o'clock East Pacific time it came on. Mike White, I can't wait for the next one. Thank you for the season 1 and season 2. Truly, in a sea of too much content, what a joy White Lotus has been. Fenton, you can come back. Fenton,
come back.
Fenton, come back. Come back.
Can I come back?
Yeah.
Did you miss me?
Not at all.
So much.
You probably
so
thought
much.
the show's but yes, you're probably like, oh well, you should block your ears more often. All right, moving on.
What's going on?
Number 5.
No. Answer my question. Why haven't
What
you
is
watched
the
it
question?
yet?
What?
Why haven't you watched it yet? What's wrong with you?
All will be revealed in number 5 if you let me get to it. Number 5.
Number 5.
I want to talk about the White Lotus effect because we obviously haven't talked about the White Lotus enough. But I've missed the last 2 episodes.
What?
Because I was at the Asia Television Festival in Singapore, and I logged on to get my HBO, and damn it, they figured out how to get around the VPN, the Express VPN. So I was doing my Express VPN, and then they're like logging into HBO Max, and then they're like, We need to know where you are. You have to enable notification. Long story short, could not watch it. So it's like, However, in a way, I was having my own White Lotus experience because I was staying at the Marina Bay Sands, which is it's the hotel in the Crazy Rich Asians, with the boat on top, which was pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God, it's gorgeous. Yes, I love that hotel.
It really
has
is.
that long,
Were there
super
any
long swimming pool on top, right? Did you go swimming in the pool? It has that
I
super
did.
long
You go swimming
pool.
in the Horizon pool, whose sole existence is to take Instagram photos.
Yes.
Of you with Singapore in the background. I mean,
was there a dead body floating in it when you arrived?
Well, I think they clean out the dead bodies before they open the pool, but I'm sure they're there every single night. There's a dead body, but it's a gorgeous place. And then because I'd gone all the way there, and it was great, and did all these meetings, and I had a friend who lives in KL in Kuala Lumpur. And he said, "Oh, well, you're here. You should come visit Kuala Lumpur." And I was like, for the weekend, I did, because he and his boyfriend were going to stay in this at the beach. And they said, "You should come. It's really beautiful." And so I said, "Okay." So I tagged along, and it's this island resort. It's you get in a boat and you go out and you approach a private island, and it has these little rooms on stilts in the water,
and there are these awful gays that are trying to get your money. Is that what's happening?
And
just like White Lotus.
Here's where the White Lotus effect comes in. It wasn't super duper luxury, but it was nice. And you get off the boat and you're greeted, and I suddenly started feeling incredibly anxious. And I suddenly realized that White Lotus is the modern version of Jaws. Because remember Jaws? You go in the ocean and you wouldn't think. But after Jaws, you were just terrified. Now, anything that is vaguely nice is full of foreboding and menace. And sat down to eat a meal, and I was like, that couple there, what's the story? Looking around, convinced, sort of paranoid. And there were a couple of lesbians, and then there was this really cute guy, and a frumpy woman. And it looked like, I was thinking, like, it's an arranged marriage. He's obviously gay, and it's arranged marriage, and she's got all the money.
Is she like an older woman with a gigolo?
Well, no, it was definitely a honeymoon type scenario. Oh. But he was so obviously gay as a goose. I mean, looked like a model, gorgeous, but you could just tell. And so then I was thinking, oh, well, she has the money and has been forced into this arranged marriage by her father, who must be the owner of the resort. I mean, everywhere you turn, there was a sort of sinister subplot. And I mean, I love White Lotus, but it's like,
it's ruined vacationing.
You never want to go on vacation again. Right?
No more luxury for Fenton. It's Motel 6s for Fenton from here on in. No more
That's right. That's where you find innocence and relaxation.
Highway rest stop hotels.
Yeah, never mind every episode of the ID channel.
I guess, yeah. Anyway, you can watch the first 2 seasons of White Lotus on HBO Max, and I'm excited to watch the last episode. And I have actually managed to avoid. I'm getting bits and pieces, but I'm managing to avoid the denouement. I don't know what happened.
Wait, so you haven't seen the memes of Jennifer Coolidge?
I've seen a few things, but like I haven't been able to figure out what's going on.
Okay.
Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, but first, watch Making the Yuletide Gay, a very special pull-in Christmas, which is on our YouTube channel. Wow Presents. It's written by the amazing Bruce Valanche and stars Michael Arrington as Paul Lind, Jackie Beat as herself, Lady Bunny as herself, Spencer Day as Tab Hunter, David Hernandez as Sal Mineo, David Macchiaco as Liberace, Jack Plotnick as Evie Harris, and Seth Rudetsky as himself.
The amazing Seth Rudetsky. Wouldn't it have been great if Jackie Beat played Lady Bunny and Lady Bunny played Jackie Beat? Maybe next year.
Blake, do you have a question?
I do, and it's a holiday question. So back in the 90s, contest winner Renee Spinetto stirred up some controversy when she designed an ornament that depicted 2 stockings. This is in the White House. One marked Bill, and the other one marked this name. And while the stocking marked Bill was filled with candy, the one with the other name was filled with coal. and the Clinton administration hung it up on the tree without censorship. So you know it wasn't Hillary. So who was it?
We'll have the answer right after the break. You're listening to the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
And welcome back to the Wow Report on Radio Andy. It's Fenton here with James and Tom and Blake. You got a question, Blake?
Yeah, picture it, 1992, White House. Contest winner Renee Spinetto stirred up some controversy when she designed a Christmas ornament that the Clintons hung on their tree. It had 2 stockings. One of the stockings had Bill's name on it, and with candy. The other name, the stocking was filled with coal. Who was the other name?
Who was the guy who was in charge of the Whitewater investigation?
Kenneth Starr.
Was it either Kenneth Starr, Newt Gingrich, or I want to say Monica, but I don't think it was Monica.
Ding, ding, ding. It was Newt Gingrich.
Newt. Okay, yeah.
Well done.
And they hung it with pride in the White House on the
That's
tree.
funny.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
Those were the days when we were left divided. We are counting down the top 10 things that made us go wow, and it's our last topical show before 2023. Can you believe that? And we've reached number 4.
Number 4.
I watched last night Pelosi in the House. It's the just released documentary about Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, by her daughter, Alexandra Pelosi. Now, I have no idea what Fox News is saying about it. It's kind of genius. It's an hour and 15 minutes. That's a short period of time to talk about a career that started in the Congress in 1987. But you know, Alexandra is a you know her, I think, Fenton. She's an accomplished documentarian. She has been following her mother around with a camera for decades. She said, I never told my mom I was making a film about her because she would have made me stop. So she just had the camera with her. Do you remember during the January 6th trials?
That's what Elliot was doing right there. I don't know if you know this. Elliot has been making a film about Fenton for about 5 years now.
It's true. But do you remember during the January 6th trials that were broadcast recently, they had that of the footage of Pelosi with Chuck Schumer, and they were making phone calls during the attacks. Yeah. That was because Alexandra was filming. That was part of the documentary, as it turns out. It's not objective because it's her daughter. It has some great symbolism at the beginning where it's a montage of her chasing after her mother. This little woman in high heels, just like she goes, I can never keep up with her. You know, it's just like it's a metaphor for our lives. It talks about all her accomplishments. It's good for someone like me with Swiss cheese brain just to remember our American history for the past, since 1987, all the victories, the setbacks she's had. They're pretty unvarnished about talking about it. But, at one point she's like, Mom, you're a tough nut to crack. And she's like, what? Is that what you're going to do is crack your mother? Like, she is always on. But I believe that she's always like, I don't think you can be as powerful a woman. She has 5 children, 9 grandchildren, spent a lot of time raising her children before she got into politics. I just don't believe you can have a lot of foibles or faults or, hidden things. I think she is who she is. 2 things really blew me away in a way I didn't expect. One is there's the moment when she is Speaker of the House where George W. Bush in his State of the Union address goes, I have something to say, as the first president to ever say it, Madam Speaker of the House. And it brings tears to your eyes. And you see that even George W. Bush understands that it's a historic moment. And both sides of the aisle stand up and applaud. And it wasn't that long ago, and we hated George W. Bush for lots of good reasons. And even she says, the war in Iran and Iraq was just the war in Iraq was, one of the worst decisions ever made in American history. But there was still a decorum among people. Even John Boehner, when he hands over the gavel to her, it just, you remember when we were a country and our institutions and our, even if it's superficial and it's friendly, it's like there was a kindness and a decorum that is missing today, which really shocked me and it got me emotional. I didn't think it would. It's not meant to. It just does.
Well, wait, but it's interesting because very quickly is that I remember thinking in the 90s and early 2000s and George Bush was that we have never sunk so low as a country, and this is the most vociferous and but looking back on it now, it was absolutely
yeah.
It's strange to think.
And the last thing is, I realize, I feel this way about 9/11. Like if I see films about it, I realize I have sort of PTSD about it. Like it's something that just deeply affected me, even though I was very far away, and I'm not trying to make it about me, but like it's still. And they go back and they show that day, and there's footage you've never seen of the attack of the Capitol during the January 6th thing, and I'm shivering because it just makes you sick to your stomach, and the violence and we spent time in this building, and House, Speaker of the House wing and all this stuff. We'd seen it for all these different years, so this thing, and at the end, it's all been desecrated, and there's broken windows and people fearing for their lives. It wasn't just like this is weird. It wasn't a blip. It was a moment where you thought we could all die, and the National Guard had been called, but they weren't arriving. It was like so much went wrong. And Nancy is this incredible person throughout it. There's also an elongated for this thing about the Affordable Care Act and her counting votes. All this paper with numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. It's all about gathering the votes. They have her on phone calls with her back to the camera, talking to people, convincing them, using whatever tactic she can to convince them to come aboard. I've been talking about her a lot lately, but it's no surprise that they put this out right now. And I just think people should watch it because she's an important figure in our history. And it's so important to see and recognize the accomplishment of a woman.
And I love when children make documentaries about their parents because you get yes, it's a partisan view, but at the same time, it is a real view in a way that, like, if only Harry and Meghan's kids were old enough to make the film about them, it would somehow be fundamentally different. You know what I mean? It
has a heart.
Meghan made it about Charles,
right? I mean, it would be great.
Yes, to understand, whether to be understood. Anyway, it's called
Pelosi in the House.
Yeah,
Pelosi in the House on HBO. All right, number 3, James.
Number 3.
Well, I'll make this one short. I watched this morning. I got up and watched the Noel Diary on Netflix. I keep watching these crappy, sappy holiday movies, and this one it's like a step up from a Hallmark, but not a big step up. It is really, really bad. There's a bazillion plot holes in it. It stars Justin Hartley, who I love. Justin Hartley, I've watched him since Passions. He was on Smallville for 7 seasons as the Green Arrow. He was on This Is Us for 6 seasons as Jack Pearson, I think. No, Kevin Pearson. He's the pretty blonde boy on This Is Us. You might know him, Tom. I don't know if you watched it. It seems like a show you would watch. It seems like a very Tom show. I'm sorry. Anyway, in this, he plays a dashing spy novelist, and he goes back home. His mother has just passed away, and he's clearing out the house. And there's a woman who comes by and says that she was the daughter of his nanny when he was growing up, and she's looking for his mother. So they set out on a road trip to find the mother and to find the father that he is estranged from, blah, blah, blah. Shenanigans ensue. They fall in love. You know how it goes. But I can't wholeheartedly recommend it. But if you're trimming the Christmas tree and you want a TV show on, or if you're making your Yuletide dinner and you need something on the TV, put it on and just refer to it once in a while.
What attracts you to movies like that? What made you click on it?
Because I'm just an old sap at heart. I'm just an old softie. It's true. And I like a pretty boy. I'll watch a pretty boy do anything, basically. And the thing is that it's, like I said, there's a bazillion plot holes in it, and there's an ending that doesn't make any sense at all. But there's like this sort of nice rhythm to it where they have like these dinners and they're in the car together. And there's just some nice banter back and forth. And it's just very soothing and very holiday. And
honey, I watch QVC. You don't have to apologize to me for like warm TV. Do you decorate, James? Do you decorate your place for Christmas?
I have not decorated this year. Some years I do, and this year I have not. But I don't know why. I don't know why.
I haven't. I'll be going to New Hampshire for Christmas, so I'm going to glom onto my brother and sister's decorations.
Yeah, my sister goes all out, so I'll just go over there.
All right. Well, that is not James's not Netflix pick. right, is the Noel diary.
Pick it or don't pick it. I don't give a crap.
Right. Number 2.
Number 2.
Just to sort of wrap up my White Lotus experience. So I went at this massage thing, and I had a massage at this resort. I was so tired after the massage, I thought I'd been drugged. I literally could not keep my eyes open. So I fell asleep for like 12 hours. Next day, get up and say, you've got to eat durian fruit. Have you ever eaten durian fruit?
What does it look like?
It is the king of fruits. It is known as the king of fruits.
Is the huge
it is
one?
a melon-sized thing with spikes on it.
Yes.
And it grows on a big tree. And in fact, you wait for it to fall off the tree. And if you're going to harvest them, you have to wear a construction helmet, because the thing will fall on your head and it will crack your skull open. It is so vicious. But the thing about the durian fruit is its smell. It is supposed to smell like a cross between raw sewage and a rotting corpse or a cheesy sock. And this thing about the smell is serious. Like, you can't eat it in hotel rooms. Airplanes ban it because the smell is so pungent and pervasive. In fact, a plane had to land because they had durian fruit in the cargo hold, and everybody on the plane was like passing out.
Wait a minute. Is the taste very strikingly different than the smell? Is that what you're here to tell us?
I was convinced I was about to meet my death. Let's get this right first. So against my better judgment, I agreed to eat the durian fruit, and they open it up, and it looks like internal organs, like sort of yellow and orange, sort of waxy sort of pod. And you have to put on plastic gloves, and you pick it up and you put it in your mouth, and it's sort of like custard or mushy. It's not like a fruit that's got sort of texture. It's mushy. It's actually quite delicious. It actually is quite nice.
Is it very expensive? Why is it so? Why do we not have like durian ice cream or durian?
Because it smells like shit.
Exactly. It is the odor is really pungent. Like when cheese has just gone too far. It's like, it's not cheese anymore. It's some sort of rotten sludge. That is this. It has the most pungent, distinctive thing. And you put on the rubber gloves and you eat it. And the other weird thing is it's a little like, it's not alcoholic, but it tastes like it has fermented. It's sort of stewing in its own overripeness.
This is like the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
What?
Is it good for your digestion? Does it make you poo? What happens?
They love it in Far East. They just adore it. It's a luxury. But it's something of an acquired taste. And apparently, after you've eaten it, your body heats up because it's so full of sugar and sort of fermented stuff, and you sort of burp, like you're sort of. Let me tell you, it's an experience. And but I ate the durian fruit and I survived, and I'm here to tell you about it.
Raj almost killed you. Durian fruit kept you alive.
Well, I will tell you that there is durian fruit at Ralph's. The Ralph's right by you on La Brea and 3rd. I've seen it there. So maybe we should have a durian tasting party if we ever do parties again.
But we have to do it outside because it smells something.
It sounds like we'll end it around and say there's durian in the alley. Go into the alley and eat your durian.
There you go. Because
it sounds like the whole experience puts you one step closer to being a true cannibal. There, I said it.
Yes, it does have a sort of element of that. So, yes. All right. Let's take one more break. Watch the latest season of World of Wonders, $1 Million Listings Los Angeles. It's right now on Peacock. New episodes every Thursday on Bravo, and then the next day it's on Peacock. You can catch up. And it's a great season, really is. Yeah. When we come back, we'll reveal the number one thing that made us go wow. And you're listening to the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. Fenton here with Tom and James and Blake. It's our last topical episode of the year. And we've been counting down the top 10 things, and we've reached number one.
Number one.
I don't know if you guys have been following Michelle Obama's on social, but she, I think, is just wrapped up in Los Angeles this week with Oprah. She's doing a book tour. She has her new book, and she gets a different, like, all-star person, Stephen Colbert, Tracy Ellis Ross, Gayle King, Oprah Winfrey, to interview her. It's She did it with her last book. The difference this time is her fashion. And I thought I was the only one noticing it, but the New York Times came out with an article, and Michelle Obama, who is like my age, so she's pushing 60, looks amazing, always beautiful, always a first lady who pushed fashion forward, right? Is now just has no fucks left to give, is just dressing comfort. Her hair is braided, which she talked about, in like big swoops of braids. She'll wear up, she'll wear down. She looks beautiful. And she's wearing pants most of the time, crazy designers whose names I don't even know, bright colors, weird fabrications. And it's for a minute, it feels controversial to me because it's like, well, that's not what and I have to stop myself mid-sentence because it's like, good for you, Michelle. Live your life. Be beautiful. 60 isn't what it used to be. Being a first lady isn't what it used to be. And she talks about how when she was first lady, she purposely kept her hair straight. She goes, that burden of like, oh, it's enough that I'm the first Black lady and we're the first Black couple. Let's not test the people too much. And now, the longer that she's out of office, the more she can express herself. And it's kind of spectacular to see.
The New York Times did a huge article about her fashion renaissance, and it was behind a paywall, so I wasn't able to read it. But I've been seeing enough pictures online where it's your first reaction is Laura Bush wouldn't dress like this. Nancy Reagan would not be dressing like this. Barbara Bush does not dress like this. But it has carved out her own place in fashion history, and she can wear these colors. She can wear these shapes. She has that body, yaddy. She has those arms and the muscles, and she looks great in everything she wears. And I'm all for it. I think that she had this little denim pantsuit that was like Justin Timberlake and Britney.
She looks like a rock star. She looks like a rock star.
She is a rock star. She is a rock star first lady, and I am totally here for it.
Do you think, in a way, history is sort of not passed her by, but do you think she's underestimated in a sense, like in maybe in the same way that Hillary Clinton has been, that that these are great women who.
Well, I think that her detractors were so loud during Obama's presidency that it sort of drowned out a little bit some of the greatness that the shine that she could have had, and that is a shame.
I'll probably get canceled for this, but when you think about Michelle, because I heard her talk about this the last time she did her book tour. She's talked about how she lives in a world full of hypocrisy her whole life. How she woke up every morning in the White House in a house that was built by slaves, and she goes, if I let that tear down my hope, my belief, my faith in the future, she goes, I'd have nothing. She goes, you can't let the hypocrisy get you down. And even, she realizes there's ups and downs in life. And that's the weird thing about Harry and Meghan. It feels like right now the messaging is very victim-y instead of like, how do we overcome this? Or how do we take what we've happened to us and learn? Maybe they're not there yet. But anyway,
I would have liked Harry and Meghan more if it had been less fucks to give, and they were just like they were going to burn down the royal family and just.
It's very confusing.
They didn't. Yeah, they're very wishy-washy.
Well, I think it's maybe a fact of just being young and like
Well, no, because when you're young, you aren't supposed to have any fucks. The older you get, the more fucks you have.
Yeah, it feels very packaged.
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
They should be more punk rock is what they should be.
That's it. They need to start a band with Michelle Obama. That's it.
I definitely do remember. I love what you just said, Tom, about Michelle, because I remember saying to Tammy Faye, I remember saying to Tammy Faye, you've been so ridiculed. So, how come it didn't make you bitter? I mean, because that's the takeaway is like, James, to concur with what you're saying,
being bitter. James being bitter, whereas Tom is so not bitter.
No, James, sweetheart. It's about your point about having no fucks to give is very well taken. It's like the idea that the world can throw a lot of shit at you, and Michelle and Tammy Faye, and if only Harry and Meghan could just rise above it, or sort of
more like Tammy Faye.
Transcend it is
yes,
right. I mean. Yeah,
but thumbs up. Check out Michelle Visage. Michelle, she looks like Michelle Visage. Michelle Obama is copying Michelle Visage. That's the breaking news. I'll leave it at that.
Thanks. That's all we got time for this week. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, James. Thank you, Blake. Wishing you all very happy holidays. Same time, same place next week for our holiday special. And then what is it after that, Blake?
Our year-end special.
Our year-end, right? So we got a holiday special and a year-end special.
There we go.
Thanks for listening this year. So deeply appreciated. Same time, same place next year. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go
Wow.